What's up, good people? It's Vincent, and I'm here to talk to the creative, their allies, and their adjacents. I love to point out the fact that we don't think in straight lines and in black and white. We think in ziggly zags and wiggly wags, and sometimes we get so deep in our minds and into the woods that we can't find our way out. And so here I am as an intermediary to talk to those who are creative, love and live with creatives, or those that have the power to hire and lead creatives on how better to make this thing work. Because it's not just your ordinary employee or boyfriend or husband or girlfriend or wife or fiance or yourself. Like it's this thing that turns on and doesn't turn off. And sometimes it's 2 a.m. when you get hit with a bolt of lightning. And sometimes you find yourself working a regular job and you can't focus. And people will say it's ADD and ADHD and all these other things, which are very real and very serious conditions. But sometimes it's just that you're creative enough and somebody just needs to help you lean more into that and help you be more successful. So here I am every Tuesday helping you out. I apologize for missing you last Tuesday. I'm putting out a dope series right now. Black is Eternal. Every single day of February, my wife, my team and I came together and we're dropping literary gems written by African Americans and other Black people throughout the world, throughout history, dropping different monologues and songs and poetry that we feel helps elevate the Black experience without it just being a bunch of dates and history facts that become super boring. There again, a creative figured out how to apply Black history in a way that's digestible to those that don't care about reading something that feels like a Wikipedia page. I'm here for you, for real. Before I go any further, first, thank you to those of you that join in every week. And I thank you for subscribing and liking and sharing. If you get anything of value out of this, consider doing one of those things to let the world know that there's a voice here that needs to be elevated for others to feel the same level of encouragement that you feel. And my other preliminary is I come to you from Houston every week. And those of you that have cut on the news and those of you that are out here, what's devastating Houston and the entire state of Texas and much of the Gulf Coast, almost like it's a hurricane, except it's a winter storm. Whoever thought that there would be a day where it snowed in every part of Texas and that there was ice on the ground. And while it's beautiful and it's nice and my son had fun outside and my house looked pretty and all those things, there are tons of people without power, without heat, without water. And unfortunately, many have lost their lives. And to that degree, I'll say that there is blood on the hands of leaders across the state, primarily whosever decisions it was to make to start these controlled shutting down of the grid, of the power grid, when there wasn't sufficient forecast to tell people that. Basically the conversation was, oh, be prepared, the storm's coming, not be prepared that we're going to yank electricity from you. It's really unfortunate, and I hope that people remember this when they go to the ballots the next time that Greg Abbott or anyone in his entire cabinet or whatever's names are on the ballot. Remember moments like this. Now that I'm done being political, I really made a decision this year to just not care anymore about my views. If you want to follow me and support me, cool. If me sharing my views is antithetical to yours and you unfollow and unsupport, fine. I realized that I was living a particular period of my life, trying to stay in the good graces of a group of people that I was working very closely with. And as I've realized that the people that can support President Trump through 2 elections, through 2 impeachments, and love God, that doesn't make you an ally, right? What makes you an ally is when you see me as human and you carry my needs to the ballot with you, and not just what you think about gay marriage, weed, or abortion. Sorry. I want to talk to you for a moment about conservation. As we're in the middle of this pandemic within a pandemic, where you've got a snowstorm that's crippling people from the capacity to work and live, you also have to keep in mind what your neighbor needs. And so you don't use too much power, you know what I mean? And I shut everything around the house down before I recorded this. And I'm like, I'm going to give this 15 minutes and then I'm done. Then I'm going to power this down and move back to my computer to finish some edits. But, you know, and I'm grateful that I have power, and I was able to, you know, bring my parents over. They lost power, and my wife and I are helping as many of our friends as we can, but it's hard to help people in the middle of a snowstorm when you can't really go anywhere, and in the middle of a pandemic when you just can't open your door to everybody, because that, oh, God, this is frustrating. And then it's also like, we don't know how long we'll have power or if we'll sustain power through this whole thing. And every moment that passes by that our power is working, we're grateful. Anyway, the idea of conservation is something that I realized is applicable to the creative. And it's about conserving your energy and honing in moments to be able to produce from. And so I'm thinking about right now, I've got a few things on the table, big music video, another huge music video, a series that I'm working on, and then a short film and a couple of other loose end projects. In order for me to bring my best self to all those projects, I have to conserve my energy. And it's not for me to write better or edit better or direct and produce better, but it's for me to be able to come into these moments without extra stress and extra energy that's misplaced, and put that energy onto this project when the project does not necessarily deserve said energy. And so I want to talk to you about ways that I conserve my energies and help that foster better creativity. And hopefully you get something out of that and learn to manage or better manage your own energy. The first thing is I temper my social media use. For me, it's easy for me to get irritated, aggravated, jealous, bothered by certain people's activities or success, right? Because I'm in a very visual world. My feed is full of a lot of other contemporaries that share visual work. And I'm like, how do I get that gig? How do I direct that video or that short film, or get my foot in the door to direct a feature or get a series picked up by a network or a studio? And I get in those ruts. And so when I feel it rise up, I back off. I'm never mad at anyone for getting it or envious, because I don't put that out because I don't want anybody to put that on me when I get mine. But I do meter it because I can become addicted to that and be clicking around to every person that was involved in the project or in the deal. And, you know, where do they work, and how do I need to get to them? Do I need to, it gets weird for me. So I back off. It's exciting and I back off. Right. And people around me know in my moments when I'm backing off, like, don't share certain things with Vincent, because that helps my energy. Right. As I said that, it sounds diva, but when you have people around you that care about you, they'll do that. So call it diva. I call it love. The other thing that I do, aside from like metering my social media use, is I meter who I converse with offline, like texting, FaceTiming, phone calling. I'm only engaging in people that are pushing something forward, that have pushed something further than me, or that are interested in pushing something I'm working on forward. Of course, I have like regular friends that are into football and they're coaches and they're ex-professional athletes and they're professional musicians and accountants and all these different things that I'm like, I support you. I don't know what your job is. But to my contemporaries that are like within creative spaces and do a bit of what I do or within those parameters, I don't waste a lot of time on people that are pulling out of me and need my energy. I'm spending time with people where we can kind of recycle each other's energy. In the last video from 2 weeks ago, I believe I called it Imagination Midwives. And that's really, really, really important because you've got to have people who are able to contribute to your peace and then your personal growth. So besides, metering social media, metering who I talk to offline, I also just meter how I spend my time. I try not to spend too much time on YouTube in the gear trap. I try to watch movies and enjoy them for what they are. It's really hard to miss a reflection of a light in a window or see a mic pack on somebody's back. It's my profession, right? So you can excuse it, but I can tell you that I've ruined the lives of most people that I hang with, because they leave here basically finding every single good thing or terrible thing with production. I basically make mini critics, which is fun because then when they watch my stuff, they don't just like it because it's me. They like it, or they say, "Hey, Vincent, don't do that." And so I think a series of those things is like what helps my energy remain compacted enough to go from moment to moment. Watching the social media, watching who I interact with offline, and then in my downtime, just being careful to not over engage and indulge in other elements of this visual creative world, because that becomes a distraction and it becomes that rat race of, oh, I don't have a $200,000 or a $2 million PPP loan that I can go and XYZ with or whatever. And overall, I just try to keep in front of me things that just keep me inspired and encouraged. My wife just bought me a really beautiful gift for Valentine's Day. I'll eventually put it up on one of these walls. I need to decorate this place. But she got me a quote of Beyonce's song Bigger. And it says, if you feel insignificant, you better think again. Better wake up, because you're part of something way bigger. You're part of something way bigger. And my favorite piece is, you're not just a speck in the universe. You're not just some words in a Bible verse. You're part of something way bigger. And I think that speaks to me because growing up Christian and holding very dearly to my Christian values, the Bible is, supreme text in my life. But it's easy to memorize those words and apply those words and also exclude yourself from some of those words and think that they may not ever really fully apply to you. Ephesians 3:20, it says, God's able to give you far more than you ask or imagine. And it's like, bruh, I've been asking for X, far more, what's good? Or when he says, hey, I've thought, this Jeremiah 29:11, he's like, look, I know the thoughts I have for you. I know the things I think towards you. The thoughts of good, not evil, to prosper you, not to harm you. Right. And I'm like, prosper, bruh, and then one more verse is in the book of John. Jesus is there. And at one point, the text says, and greater works than these shall ye be able to do. And it's basically saying whatever miracles you heard about Jesus doing, because of your faith, you'll be able to do greater works than those. And, it's like, okay, greater works. I'm gonna lay hands on the sick and they'll recover. Why does a loved one battle cancer? Why does a loved one live on life support for 6 months and die without being able to share last words. And with those measures of faith, right? And I don't apologize, but those moments call for a measure of faith. The faith that you had for one moment is not the faith you need for the next moment. You have to have a measure of faith that can get you through this moment and a different measure of faith to get you through this moment. But sometimes in those moments, it's easy to forget equations about measuring faith, right? And it's real easy to preach it. And it's real fun to preach it in moments where the spirit is high, the music's there, and people are like, oh yeah, this is it. And then the moment hits you and it's like, crap, help my unbelief. And Beyonce's song does that for me. It reminds me that I'm part of something way bigger. I'm not just words on a page. Those words live in me. Those words breathe in me. Those words are alive in me. And those words are what energize me and fuel me to engage. Anyway, I'm done. I felt like I dropped enough for last weekend, this week, and this one. Check on your friends and family in Texas and make sure that you're conserving your energy and directing it in potent and concentrated ways at the assignments that you're on right now, no matter how boring or technical or annoying they are. I love you so much. I pray that things are well with you. Thanks for sticking around. If you got anything of value out of it, like, share, subscribe. And until next Tuesday, be well. And I'll see you then.